Welcome to the September Kapnick Strive webinar. And September is Emergency Preparedness Month, and that's exactly what we'll be covering today. We live in an unpredictable world with hurricanes, wildfires, pandemics, cyber attacks, and even everyday emergencies like workplace accidents. Today, we'll be talking about emergency preparedness, why it matters, how it saves lives, and what we can do to be ready. FEMA research shows that approximately 60% of Americans are not prepared for a disaster, despite nearly every state experiencing at least one federally declared disaster in the past decade. And preparedness isn't about living in fear. It's about building confidence and resilience so that when the unexpected happens, we respond instead of panic. So let's get started. Preparedness is no longer optional. It's essential in today's world. And disasters aren't just something we see on the news. They happen in every state, every year. And the US experiences an average of $20 billion disasters annually. Globally, the number of climate-related disasters has increased by 83% over the past 2 decades. And prepared families are more likely to stay safe, experience less stress, and bounce back faster. Research shows that when households are prepared, entire communities recover more quickly because neighbors can help one another instead of waiting for outside aid. And emergencies range from large-scale disasters to smaller, more personal ones. A house fire is the most common household disaster. Every year in the United States, home fires kill more people than all natural disasters combined. Power outages during storms can last for days. And as we all saw with COVID-19, public health crisis can disrupt schools, jobs, and everyday routines. So recognizing these possibilities is the first step in preparing. Each type of emergency brings unique challenges, but the common thread is that preparation always improves outcomes. Emergency response isn't just reactive. It's about a full cycle. FEMA outlines five phases: prevention, mitigation, preparedness, response, and recovery. So think of house fires. Prevention includes smoke alarms. Mitigation includes having a family meeting point if you become separated. Preparedness might mean backing up family photos digitally or placing valuables in a fireproof safe. Response is knowing how to act in the moment, like practicing fire drills, and recovery is reestablishing normal life after an event. The key takeaway is that preparedness is ongoing. It's not a checklist. We finish once with that checklist, but it is a cycle that we adapt to new risks over time. On to risk assessment, and this is the foundation of preparedness. It basically asks, what could go wrong? How bad would it be? And how likely is it? Every family faces unique risks. Do you live near a floodplain, a wildfire-prone area, or in a region with frequent tornadoes? Do you have young children, elderly parents, or pets in your home? A family in California will plan for earthquakes, while a family in Florida plans for hurricanes. And FEMA's ready.gov has a simple tool to help families identify their risks and tailor their plans accordingly. Or you can search your location on the FEMA webpage to see previously declared disaster risks and emergency response resources. So developing a plan. A family emergency plan doesn't have to be long, but it must be clear. So decide where to meet if you're separated. Identify someone outside your area who can serve as a family contact. Practice both evacuation and shelter-in-place scenarios. A 2018 Red Cross study found that families who had practiced fire drills got out of their homes twice as fast as those who had not. The plan only works if everybody knows it. So write it down and make sure every family member is familiar with it. Additionally, every family has unique needs. Elderly relatives may need medications or mobility aids. Infants need formula, diapers, and extra care. Families with disabilities should plan for equipment backups like power for wheelchairs or medical devices. And pets need carriers, food, and ID tags. During Hurricane Katrina, many people refused to evacuate without their pets, which led to reforms like the Pets Act and requiring shelters to accept animals. Planning ahead ensures no family member is left behind. And it's important to note that an emergency plan is a living document. It must be practiced, reviewed, and updated regularly as risks evolve. And again, this is something we can practice in different parts of our lives, in our workplaces, in public settings, and in our homes with our families. Emergencies don't wait for us to be in the setting where we're the most prepared. Emergencies can happen anywhere at any time. So it's important to be prepared as we move throughout our days. And during disasters, phone lines get jammed as everyone in the vicinity attempts to make calls to emergency services and loved ones. Texts often go through when calls don't. So teach kids to text "I'm safe" messages. Write down important numbers. Don't just rely on phones. Some families even keep inexpensive walkie-talkies at home for short-range communication. And the Red Cross recommends picking an out-of-town contact because sometimes it's easier to reach someone far away than someone nearby in a crisis. And technology is a family's friend in emergencies. So download weather alert apps and enable wireless emergency alerts on your phone. They've saved lives by warning people of tornadoes and flash floods. Social media can provide real-time updates, but remember to check official sources. And backup power banks for phones are essential during outages, keeping you connected when it matters most. And with any skill, practice improves those outcomes, especially in emergencies. Practice can help remove the fear and panic when responding. Fire departments recommend families conduct fire drills at least twice a year. Make it fun. Time your family to see how quickly you can get outside. You can role play different situations. What if the front door is blocked? What if the power is out? Kids especially benefit from practicing, as research shows children are less likely to panic if they've rehearsed the steps beforehand. And consider how to respond during different disasters, like flooding, tornadoes, snowstorms, and more. It really never hurts to write your plan down and practice it.
All right. Thank you, Lexi. One of the most simple and concrete things that you can do is build an emergency kit. Think of your kit as your family's lifeline. The Red Cross recommends 1 gallon of water per person per day for at least 3 days. You can include canned food, flashlights, extra batteries, and a first aid kit. And don't forget personal items like prescriptions, baby formula, pet food. Keep copies of important documents like your insurance, birth certificates, IDs, in a waterproof container. Families who had kits during Hurricane Harvey in 2017 reported far less stress while waiting for aid compared to those who didn't. And consider having a kit at home and in your car so you're prepared no matter where you go. And lastly, preparedness should be a family project. involving all family members in making the emergency kit. So if you have kids, letting them pick snacks or comfort items. You can also assign roles. One person grabs the kit, another checks on pets, another calls the family contact. Make preparedness part of your routine. It's also important that with emergency kits, you're rotating water and food every 6 months and updating the plans yearly to meet your current needs or your current risks. Families who prepare together often tend to feel empowered rather than fearful. And while we often think emergency preparedness in terms of bottled water, flashlights, canned food, those emergency kits we just talked about, financial readiness is also, if not more important. So when a crisis strikes, whether it's a natural disaster, a medical emergency, or sudden job loss, having money set aside can mean the difference between weathering the storm and spiraling into debt. Experts like the Consumer Financial Protection Bureau recommend saving 3 to 6 months of essential expenses, but don't be intimidated by that number. Start small. Even $500 in an easily accessible savings account can help cover a car repair, medical copay, or temporary lodging if you're displaced. The key is accessibility. So keep the money in a savings account or a money market account and not tied up in long-term investments. Again, after Hurricane Harvey in 2017, many families who had even a modest emergency fund were able to afford temporary housing while waiting for insurance claims, which helped reduce stress during that chaotic time. So remember, building your emergency kit isn't just about food and supplies. Your emergency fund is a powerful tool that can protect your stability and your peace of mind. Next is something a little less concrete, and that's psychological preparedness, because preparedness also includes mental well-being. Emergencies are stressful for everyone, but especially if you're thinking of your family and if you have kids, they're especially stressful for children. So kids take cues from adults. If the parents stay calm, children feel safer. One way to help if you're thinking of your kids in emergencies is by making comfort bags. So small kits with favorite toys, books, blankets, even without kids. This is something you can do for yourself as well, packing small but comforting items, snacks, or mementos. Again, talking about disasters ahead of time also reduces fear. A study in 2013 found that survivors with strong emotional support before and after disasters were less likely to experience long-term trauma. Now let's take a look at a case study. So in 2011, a devastating EF5 tornado hit Joplin, Missouri, killing 161 people. Families and schools that had regularly practiced drills were able to act quickly. And the CDC found that schools with practiced tornado drills had significantly lower casualty rates. Families who knew where to shelter in basements or interior rooms were also more likely to survive. The Joplin tornado underscores that preparation saves lives in real and measurable ways. Another case study that we often remember. So Hurricane Katrina showed what happens when preparedness fails, right? So thousands were stranded in New Orleans without evacuation options. But families with vehicles, go kits, and predetermined evacuation routes often fared better, while vulnerable populations like the elderly and those living in poverty and neighborhoods with poor infrastructure suffered most. This disaster, if you remember, reshaped how the U.S. thinks about community and family preparedness, emphasizing evacuation planning and supplies. Prepared households also make stronger communities because we can't just do this alone. So during the 2010 Haiti earthquake, neighbors were often the first rescuers, and this is common in many natural disasters. So in the US, community groups like CERT or Community Emergency Response Teams or the Red Cross train families to help themselves and others. So talk with your neighbors, share your evacuation routes, exchange phone numbers, and agree to check on each other. Because emergencies don't just affect individuals, they affect everyone. You can also check out local mutual aid groups, often on social media. There are often many people in your community who are willing to help those in need of resources, from food to clothes, transportation, and more. So talk to your neighbors and get involved in your community. And then as we start to wrap up this webinar, we're going to run down this preparedness checklist. So starting off, knowing your risk, knowing what hazards are likely where you live. Number 2, making a family plan. So meeting places, contacts, and evacuation routes. 3, building a kit tailored to your household. I want to make a note on the building a kit. There are so many kits available online for purchase. They often come in 5-gallon buckets with tons of food and first aid kits. These you can purchase, obviously, but with the pre-made kits, you might end up getting more than you need and lugging around more weight than you need. So building a kit really does help you tailor your supplies to your needs. Number 4 on the checklist is practicing regularly so everyone knows what to do. And then 5th, staying informed with alerts and updates. So each step is simple, but together they make your family resilient. So as we prepare to close and talk a little bit more about resources, we want to keep in mind that preparedness really is about peace of mind. Emergencies are unpredictable, but your response doesn't have to be. Protecting your loved ones starts with simple, intentional steps, making a plan, building a kit, and practicing together. And the more prepared your family is, the more resilient your community becomes. If you would like to learn more, there's some resources on this slide. Number 1 is called Emergency. This book will save your life by Neil Strauss. And this book takes you on a journey from someone who is completely unprepared to someone who learned real world survival and readiness skills. So it's kind of part memoir, part survival guide, but it makes preparedness feel approachable and eye-opening for everyday families. Second is the Disaster Tough podcast. This is hosted by an experienced emergency manager who has been on the front lines of major disasters. So each episode features real stories and expert advice on how individuals and families can prepare, respond, and recover more effectively. It is practical, relatable, and a great way to keep preparedness top of mind in your daily life. And then lastly is ready.gov. This is the official U.S. government website for emergency preparedness, and it's packed with free, easy-to-use resources. So you'll find checklists for creating family go bags or emergency kits, guides for kids and pets, and detailed information on how to prepare for specific disasters like floods, wildfires, or power outages. It's an excellent starting point if you're building your family's emergency plan from scratch. And we're keeping it brief today with the webinar. Thank you for joining. If you have any questions, please feel free to put them in the chat, and we're more than happy to answer any that we're able to. And if you're interested, we would love for you to join our next webinar on October 29th from 12 to 12:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. And in that webinar, we'll be talking about aging gracefully. We'll be talking about Botox, fillers, skincare, and all those healthy aging trends that we're seeing.